morning, Los Angeles, and welcome to Morning News 5. Coming up on this broadcast.
First up, we have a live satellite interview with Tariq, also known as the Corn Kid, located at the Corn Palace in South Dakota. And then later this hour,
we go to an Israeli science team that has somehow convinced goldfish to drive.
Cut! Guys, we're not covering the goldfish and the Corn Kid. We're supposed to be covering Shein.
good morning, Los Angeles, and welcome to Morning News 5.
Coming up on this broadcast, an investigative report into Shein, a global fast fashion retailer alleged to have questionable labor practices.
Guys, this isn't a news show. This is a public relations report.
Shein is an online fast fashion retailer based out of China, founded in 2008. This company is known for their inexpensive products, including women's wear, men's wear, kids wear, household items, and more. This company grew exponentially in 2020 during COVID-19 due to influencer marketing on TikTok. Their hashtags have over 10 billion views. But the question is, what does the public really think about Shein? I am here at Biola University to interview some college girl students on their opinion of Shein. Hi, Abby. Do you mind if I interview real quick?
Not at all.
Just out of curiosity, what is your opinion on Shein?
Shein I have never really heard great things about because I've heard that they really are involved with cheap labor as a means to make their products. And I've also had a lot of friends that have gotten things from Shein and their clothes have just fallen apart right away. And so I don't think Shein's a very trustworthy company, and I don't really think they have good ethical standards.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hi, my name is Makenna. What's your name?
Athena?
Do you mind if I ask you a quick question, Athena?
Sure.
So just out of curiosity, do you think Shein is a trustworthy company?
Honestly, I don't, just because of the reputation that it has, but I have shopped there before, and I wasn't too impressed with their quality, and I don't think that it is a trustworthy company and wouldn't shop there again.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Athena. Yeah. Hi, my name's Makenna. Do you mind if I interview real quick?
Sure.
What's your name?
Phoebe?
Awesome. Hi, Phoebe. So just out of curiosity, how much money do you think you've spent on Shein in the last year?
In the last year, probably $90, around that. I usually get my business attire on there because I don't like spending a lot of money, and I know Shein is kind of crazy, but it's helpful with cheap stuff.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So now I'm going to talk a little bit more on what the situation is. So what is really the problem here? It was so interesting to hear what some of the public had to say about Shein. The words unethical and not trustworthy were used more than once, which definitely has something to say about Shein. How an audience talks about a company speaks volume. This is the main problem that Shein has, that they are not trustworthy, and the audience of Shein does not all in all respect them. Not to mention, there are numerous conspiracy theories about Shein. For instance, videos went viral on TikTok because workers were sending "help me" messages attached to clothing items. Pictures were posted of different messages written or stitched onto labels of the Shein clothing tags. These videos had over 40 million views on the app, prompting users to inspect their own Shein labels in case any other hidden messages were shown. Shein has received overall just a ton of backlash in recent years. Not to mention, this brand has even recently faced allegations of child labor and worker exploitation. In July of 2021, some reported that Shein had not made public disclosures about working conditions along the supply chain, despite this being a legitimate law. In November of that year, a Swiss advocacy group known as Public Eye found that a number of staffers were working over 75 hours a week, which is crazy. This is a problem. Shein is not trustworthy. If it is considered one of the biggest fast fashion retailers in the world and has even bypassed its competitors like H&M and Zara, then something needs to change. This graph on the left here shows a visual of Shein's exponential growth over the last couple of years from 2020 to 2021. Considering that Shein is this large, there must be change. There is not a focus on the building of relationships and trust with their public, and there are so many strategies that could implement this change. And now I'm going to send it over to Audrey to go a little bit more into the depth of the history of this organization.
What person doesn't know the name Shein or hasn't heard of it? They're an e-commerce company that markets trendy clothing and accessories that are accessible to anyone and everyone. Their goal is to manufacture designer clothing, which falls under the umbrella of fast fashion, which is consequently affordable and quick fashion. With Shein being the #1 e-commerce company, they have hit the global mark. According to their website, they have over 10,000 employees worldwide. But when taking a glance at their LinkedIn, they only have 36 employees who work for their media and communications department. With this being a shocking to a company this big, they keep their internal PR team secretive, but allow consumers to understand their marketing strategies and coverage. When diving into their marketing strategies, we found that Shein has increased revenue by over 398% during the times of 2019 to 2021. While they put a heavy precedence on advertisement worldwide, they spend over $3 million monthly. These advertisements are commonly displayed on Pinterest, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Just taking a glance at TikTok, Shein has made a name for themselves. Not only have they become so popular on this site, but they've also created their own hashtag called #Shein. This hashtag has over 3.3 billion views on it, which is thanks to micro-influencers, which is one of their favorite tactics for marketing. When taking a look at their demographics and different groups that Shein is able to target, a very noticeable one is Gen Z, which is the most popular. This is due to TikTok viewers. Of those TikTok viewers on the app, the ages range from 10 to 19, which is consequently 25% of the viewers on TikTok, which is the leading majority of Gen Z. With Gen Z being their primary audience, it comes to the idea of how affordable and quick Shein's products are, as well as the aesthetic that stands out to this community. When hearing the positive aspects of the company, there are reviews involving trendy styles, as well as prices and services. But consequently, there are negative reviews, such as shipping issues, but with the majority of the issues revolving around the quality of the clothing itself. This leads us to the goal of Shein's goal for being able to replicate fast fashion quickly. However, quality isn't always promised. Other negative reviews also highlight the aspect that the fabric smells or even contains harmful chemicals in their packaging. With Shein being notorious for having a lack of transparency between its customers, this refers back to their environmental and labor policies. Shein has increased at a very fast pace and has officially replaced H&M and Zara. With this being the highest grossing fast fashion company, it is worth more than H&M and Zara combined, while Shein continues to profit despite their unethical practices. With fast fashion brands being cheaply made and lasting 1 or 2 wears for some customers, this shows just how cheaply their products are made, which consequently means there are child labor laws that are being broken during these companies. For these workers for Shein, they work probably 75 hours a week, which of course breaks labor laws. With Shein being unethical in their labor laws, this consequently brings to light the issues that they have caused.
In 2021, there was an investigation into Shein by a Canadian broadcasting corporation that found levels of lead and other chemicals that can lead to health problems in their clothing. This was an article that was shining light on an investigation that was going on to display the harmful effects of Shein and the chemicals that are used in their clothing. Another interview that explained others' outcry of their unethical practices was workers sending pleas to those who purchased their clothing, with some messages saying, "Need your help," while others believe that this may just be miscommunication. Some say that this is evidence saying that their workers need help in their labor laws. When taking a glance at their competitors, Shein was founded in China, ASOS was founded in England, Zara was founded in Spain, and H&M was founded in Sweden. Though these may be completely different places, they all reach internationally to different markets and different people. Although Shein may be known worldwide and their prices might be captivating, Zara, H&M, and ASOS do have the upper hand at times with being more ethical and fan favorites with quality and practices.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. My name's Michael McKay, coming to you from the Los Cerritos Center in Cerritos, California. I was actually just shopping for a couple things at fast fashion outlet Zara. But as I was looking at some of the prices, I realized that they're actually higher than many online retailers, such as Shein. That is the company that we're going to be talking about in this next segment, talking about how those prices are so low and how sometimes it comes at a cost.
It's the Chinese kind of fashion retail giant, okay? They're doing particularly well. They are, however, facing child labour allegations.
A viral video on TikTok is behind these claims, alleging that Shein employees are crying out for help.
Zara, H&M, and Topshop led the way with what we now know as fast fashion.
Shein sells clothes for as little as $3.
Here's a closer look at the tag, and as you can see right there, it says, "Need your help in between the technology and washing."
It's right there. Need your help.
They sewed for 12 hours a day, working about 75 hours a week.
If you actually go to a store and you benchmark the price of a garment over the last 20 years, you will find that it's actually a deflationary product.
That particular store is selling this shirt with like $5, so I needed to sell it in the $4.
In Bangladesh, say an 8-story building has collapsed near the capital of Dhaka.
The clothing that Shein has been selling us is slowly poisoning us.
In April of 2022, fast fashion giant Shein hit a market valuation of just over $100 billion, which is especially noteworthy considering that they did it without brick and mortar stores like the one behind me here at Zara. In fact, Shein's market valuation is double that of Zara and H&M. And yet, despite its success, Shein had ethical issues behind the scenes. On September 17th, labor and transparency issues were alleged at the company. Shein workers said that they had no contact with their parent company and mentioned that the more subcontractors that there were, the less likely that they were to be policed. On November 12th, Private Eye, a Swiss watchdog group, found that in Shein's headquarters in Guangzhou, workers worked 12 to 14-hour days with only 1 day off every month, which violated Chinese labor laws. In 2022, Chinese online fashion retailer Shein made headlines around the world with its $100 billion valuation generated through sales of inexpensive women's, men's, and children's clothing. On September 1st, a New York Times article, over 2,000-word article, alleged that many of Shein's practices were unethical. The article was entitled "The People's Republic of Shein." And on September 7th, a TikToker as well as Chicago-based comedian alleged that Shein nail polish had actually chemically poisoned her and prompted an urgent care visit. Unfortunately, the timeline of Shein indicates that despite the company's rapid growth, this growth has come at the expense of ethics. Something needs to change. And for that, we go over to Maya for the next stage in our report.
As we fully uncovered Shein's murky condition with their labor concerns and unethical practices, we can now address how the company can respond to this issue with credible counsel. The evidence behind our counsel suggests that if Shein does not make this effort, more and more stakeholders will lose trust with their brand. Therefore, these suggestions will both provide evidence for their dangers that Shein will face and propose possible steps the company can take to reverse the course of Shein's questionable image. Shein was the most talked about brand on TikTok in 2020. How are they gaining such popularity without paying for the consequences of their actions? How are they doing so well financially without in-person shopping? You guessed it, social media influencers on TikTok and YouTube. They are using the two-step flow model created by Paul Lazarsfeld, who studied about how the mass media actually has little to no effect on the general public, but it's by opinion leaders or public influencers who have the power of shifting opinions and mindsets. Many buyers of Shein clothing are attracted through influencer marketing. Hence, Shein is using this model to gain popularity mostly through TikTok. According to a research article written by Martina Nagam, TikTok provides just enough transparency to make it worthwhile for Shein's marketing efforts. Does TikTok have an influence on buying behavior? Absolutely. According to this same research, the result of Gen Z's buying behavior after consuming content on TikTok showed more than half of participants were motivated to buy products and have made several purchases. Shein has oversaturated their marketing on TikTok with opinion leaders and micro-influencers. The result of this is a disconnect between the organization itself and their public, and places its marketing mostly on what's being said via opinion leaders. Shein is chasing numbers instead of building a long-lasting relationship with their public. This fickle relationship opens the window to false assumptions, and if Shein wants long-term sustainability and growth, they definitely need to change. As consumers like us in the current age, we have more to say with what we spend our money on since there is so much competition. Like we've mentioned, H&M, Shein's competitor, has high practices and they have been able to grow. In 2019, H&M became the first fast fashion retailer to make their supply chain completely transparent. Do we have evidence of an organization who lost their stakeholders because of ethical concerns? Yes. In April 2018, 8,000 Starbucks stores were forced to close down for racial bias training because of an incident where 2 black males were arrested in a Starbucks store. The manager called 911 because they were waiting for their work colleague and hadn't ordered anything. Dunkin' Donuts and other competitors took advantage of this situation to gain more shares of their market. According to BNN Bloomberg, the expense of the company's day of anti-bias training across 8,000 stores, estimated by Bloomberg to cost around $16.7 million in lost sales. But maintaining the status quo would have also been costly. To avoid loss of revenue, like big companies such as Starbucks, Shein should move to build loyal customers on the basis of trust and ethics. So if something does go wrong, they have the opportunity to fix the relationship they have with the consumer that they've developed over time. A situation where a company went under ethical analysis and came out with a stronger relationship with their public is when Foxconn, Apple's supplier for electronics, went under scrutiny for labor violations. Apple handled the exposure of allegations near flawlessly. When Mike Daisy's stories came out, Apple stayed notably quiet. Apple knew that this source of information wasn't credible, so they stayed quiet until valid coverage was found. Apple didn't respond until the New York Times released a report which resulted in Apple performing an audit and made appropriate changes to ensure the workers under Foxconn were getting paid higher wages and fewer hours. Now that we know the theory behind Shein's marketing strategies, let's dive into what theory we suggest for Shein to start implementing to create a better image for their brand. Shein's main problem is trust. They do not have a firm foundation of trust with their public, which over time could be detrimental. Trust is one of the biggest factors when building relationships with the public. Like I said before, as consumers, we have more say with what we spend our money on since there's so much competition. And if trust is at stake, there's a risk of losing stakeholder loyalty and competitors gaining the advantage. The model that Shein should focus on to help build trust is based on Mary Ann Ferguson and Stefan Brunning's relational perspectives. In 1984, they came up with the assertion that relationships between organizations and their key publics should be the focus of PR research. In order to build relationships, a mutual trust should be established. This theory does in fact advocate long-standing engagement between organizations and publics. That engagement with the public helps indicate a build-in trust, satisfaction, commitment, and exchange. This theory will help Shein, similar to our Apple example, build mutual trust with their publics, ensuring that their communication strategies are aligned with how the public is communicating about them through media outlets. 2 goals that align with our recommended theory is 1, hiring an external HR auditing firm. An HR audit is an objective examination of a company's HR policies, practices, and procedures. These results should be publicly exposed to practice organizational listening. An article released evidence that loss of trust in a company is closely tied with the lack of listening. The second goal we have for Shein is to attain OEKO-TEX Standard 100 certification for all Shein products. This verifies that products sold by the retailer do not contain harmful or toxic materials. This should be publicized on their website and media channels to increase consumer retention and practice ethical standards to improve relationship commitment. By reaching these goals, Shein can move closer to reversing the course of their questionable image.